everyone.
Okay, so I'm actually recording. So let's see, I think Brian said he was unavailable for this meeting.
I have to stay.
If you go, we lose our quorum.
All right, what do we have to talk about?
And Kate's not on. Oh, Kate had to go too. That's right. She had to leave at 4:30. Let me just please write down attendance here.
Okay.
Wait, Jeanette. Okay, so assuming that Brian's not going to make the meeting as chair, who wants to serve in his place?
I'd volunteer you, Tony.
All right, not a problem. Okay, so I'm calling the meeting to order at 4:03. And roll call. Heather King,
Here.
Jeanette Nicholson,
Here,
Albert Watson. Albert, I know you're there.
He was
Tony
here.
Tazi, Executive Director of Staff / Meeting Facilitator. And also joining is Sherry, who is our broker. Sherry, wave.
Hello, everyone.
And Sherry, who else is on your team?
So
There.
we have Ariel Fleischman, and then Colleen is our assistant, and as well as Shay, my son. They both work for us.
Okay. So you guys just want to sit back for now and see how this goes? You can already see it's
Yeah.
going very smoothly. All right, so I'm just going to run down the agenda. We don't have meeting minutes. And as I said at executive, that's because the person who does them at seat, first of all, there's a new person there. And they're being very, very stretched. But I need to start putting a little bit more emphasis on them getting the meeting minutes out. So my minutes are ready. So enforcement, if you guys remember, I created kind of a self-reporting form several months ago, and I haven't checked up on the buyer at 899 River Street for quite a while. So I emailed her that form and she completed it. And there's a section there that basically says, are you running into any problems? Do you see the need for the need for an extension? And she did list a few problems she was running into. Sounds like she's making progress, but not at the rate she needs to. So she's requesting an extension. I told her, please send us all documentation of everything you've got, which would be the application for a building permit. She was issued a stop work order. And there were a couple other things. And I also asked her to send photos. And I may just schedule a time to go and inspect the building, or ask George Brower to. So
didn't George agree to do that?
he
for
did.
us?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Right, he's got COVID. I shouldn't say that. He's been exposed to someone who was exposed to someone who had COVID. So
He's not vaccinated?
he is vaccinated, but he is waiting to get a test done. So I expect he'll probably be back at work before the end of the week.
Will you actually have time to have a look-see at it, Tony, before George gets back?
You know, it's really funny. I really, really want to get 54 Fifth Avenue painted and can't get anybody there in time. We're running out of weather. And this week I actually looked at my calendar and said, I can do this. And then we had a couple meetings yesterday, and I don't have time to do it. My whole week flipped upside down. So, so that doesn't answer your question, right?
Well, it's just my feeling that, you know, if George can't do it and you can't do it, is there any other member of our team who you feel would be qualified to have a look? I just think it's really important for somebody to have a presence there and a sense of, you know, where this person is at. We don't want to, you know, fall behind the 8 ball, so to speak.
Yeah, so I would say, Jeanette, what makes sense to me, given everything else that's going on right now, that's frankly a much higher priority. I've asked the owner to send back additional information. So let me get that from her. And I would say, once we get into November, I think my schedule will be in, better shape than it is this week and next. So this week, this month, we have to get the annual budget done. We have to get the 990 done. And with the 990, I always get a ping pong of questions and answers between me and our accountants. And we have the Legacy City application to pull together, which is moving forward nicely. And we also had a meeting with City Hall yesterday that is is relatively confidential with the discussions going on. But all I can tell you is it's like Christmas 3 times over. So all good news that I can't tell you about. So if that's okay, if that's acceptable to you, Jeanette, and everyone else on A&D, I'll get to 899. It just won't be probably before the end of this month. So foreclosure status is next on the agenda. 785 and 836 River Street. At executive, Kate reported that she had the former owner. She had a process server deliver paperwork personally to him, and he signed it. But unfortunately, he signed the copy and not the original documents that he was supposed to sign. So it's not a big deal. Kate just has to have the process server go back down and have him sign the correct paperwork. But what Kate also told me was, even if he, got hit by a bus and could not sign the paperwork, the way the court took its action, these properties are legally now ours, even without a deed in hand. So, but it's always nice to have a deed. Updates on properties. 791 River Street. So the masonry should be delivered next week. The masonry is coming from Westbury, Connecticut. And I actually think it's going to be a better product than what we would otherwise be able to get locally. I mean, it looks good. But the supplier also is more engaged than any local masonry supplier, I think, would be. He called me today and he said, Tony, I want to have a meeting with everyone involved in this construction because I want to make sure it goes right. So Beth Steckley, George Brower, Bolton Construction, myself, and the owner of the company will be meeting once we can align our schedules up. And he wants to just walk everyone through what's expected from prior to delivery, to things that need to be in place before construction really starts, how construction should happen. So he really just wants to walk everyone through so that everyone's on the same page and we get a good quality finished product, which is going to be kind of nice for 791 River Street. So, and Jeanette, I have not heard back about the moat in the back. I asked Steve Strikeman if we could get it paved. He sent the request to engineering. I haven't heard anything back. But I do know that I was over at Winnie Ave, Park Ave, and the city's doing a bunch, well, not the city, but the city's got somebody doing a whole bunch of paving back there, so I'm gonna make myself a note to send Steve an email and ask him if somebody can take a little bit of asphalt and run over to Smith Ave.
You're gonna need more than a little, Tony.
Well, compared to what they're paving, it's a little, it'd be a lot of bags, I know that, but
You know, every time I drive by there, I'm wondering if anybody can actually get in the back there because of all of Jack's tow trucks lined up.
yeah, I know, they're all
Is that
there.
gonna be an issue? Can we do anything about the parking?
It's
Or,
public parking, so I doubt we can.
okay,
He was parking on that lot, for a long time. And one of the reasons I think you're seeing his vehicles on the street is because they're off the lot now. So I'm sure he contributed to the moat.
no doubt.
So also on 791 River Street, the contract for the metal panel siding came back to me signed. However, there's two blips with it. One is Holland Commercial Exterior Inc. Responded to the RFP. That's how the contract went out to them, which of course Kate prepared. They crossed out Holland's Exterior Commercial, whatever, and they put Holland Property Maintenance Services. So I need Kate to clarify whether that's okay to do, especially given we're a public authority and we have strict rules to follow when it comes to public RFPs. The other blip is they are asking for us to allow them to use an alternate, I don't want to say an alternate material, an alternate product. And the way they have, the way the contractor has described it to me is the actual manufacturer of the product also sells it, but they also supply it to another company that has much larger sales reach. So it's known by that larger company, and that's what we spec'd out in the RFP. But if indeed the manufacturer's product itself is the exact equivalent, then it would be much lower costs to the contractor. I don't know if he assumed that when he submitted the bid, but I'm looking at it to see if it is indeed an exact product. So far, from what I've seen, it is. The color names, the thickness, the little bit of information I've been able to find, everything matches, but the spec sheets don't align quite exactly. During the executive committee, Brian suggested that I have Beth take a look at it. So I'll do that. I'll just put it in Beth's hands and see what she comes back with. And I also have to get kind of a final confirmation from Kate, whether we can, the RP never said anything about, use this panel or equivalent alternative. So I've got to hear back from her whether we can actually accept that or not. So that's what's going on with 791 River Street. 11 Winnie Avenue, I started developing a punch list. The quality of the finished work over there really isn't what I think a decent general contractor should have done. I mean, it's not as bad as 3036 7th Avenue, but the windows were replaced and the aluminum that was used to fill in around the windows.
Wrap.
Yeah. It is like the worst I've ever seen in my life, hands down. It doesn't, first of all, they couldn't have used a brake, which is,
Is it gonna pass the inspection?
well, that will pass inspection because it's covered, but it's not gonna pass the I'm not paying you until you replace this stuff. But it's a punch list item, but it's got to be done over again. I mean, it's really ugly. The back porch, I don't know if it's going to pass code. My understanding of code is that you cannot have any opening in a stair or a deck that you can fit a tennis ball through. The stairs have no riser, or no riser face, so you can certainly fit a tennis ball through that. So I'm curious to see if that's going to meet code or not.
Can I-
Um, Yep.
Tony, when we were looking at the vinyl, the one spot you called out, are you sure that was replaced?
Oh, no, it was not.
Okay, because it didn't, I thought we were saying that the work wasn't done right, because it didn't look like it was replaced at all. It looked older.
The vinyl siding?
No, no, sorry, not the vinyl, the metal underneath the windows, not vinyl, the metal.
I believe all the windows there were replaced, so it would have to be new.
You're talking about the wrap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the aluminum wrap. But anyway, that's one punch list item. I've got a really long list of punch list items. I talked to Johnny Bobo today, and he and I are gonna meet early next week to go walk the building, with, to develop a punch list. Here's an example of something that is amiss that may not be something he caused. So if you're looking at a roof and it's pitched like, if I can do this right, if it's pitched like this, the gutters should be square to the edge of the roof so it catches the water, but they're not. They're on the same plane, so the water can fly right over most of the gutter. Now, I don't know, the roof was replaced. I don't know if Johnny took the gutters off and put them back on that way. I know I have before pictures, so I need to check into them to see what the actual situation was. But that's an example of something that might be on the punch list. Johnny told me the Troy Allstate put the original furnace in, the one that got stolen. He says every time he checks with Troy Allstate, the price goes up a couple $100 every time he calls. And that's because of, the economic situation we're all in. So my response to him was, well, Johnny, get the furnace in, man. So that's also something we're gonna talk about Monday or Tuesday next week. The appliances, at this point, I think the best course of action would be to buy the appliances and ask the vendor just to hold them for us and to deliver them, the day before the closing. When I was there, I walked Sherry and Ariel around to all our properties on Friday afternoon. And, the last time I was at that building, I was with the city councilwoman. The front door, I turned the knob, totally unlocked. On Friday, the back door, turned the knob, totally unlocked. So, I've got
Tony-
better things to do than worry about the security of 11 Winnie Avenue, but it's driving me nuts. So the sooner we can get this thing put to bed, the better. One piece of good news that I do want to just mention. I've asked Tanya if she would allow us to use the funding that was allocated for the demolition at 3240 6th Avenue to use at 11 Winnie, so we don't lose the cost of the appliances we have to buy over again and the furnace we have to buy over again. So,
Is there any good reason that we're gonna buy more appliances for 11 Winnie? Even if we have them installed the day before the closing? I just don't get it. Or it's like throwing good money after bad.
well, it is throwing good money after bad. That's exactly what it is.
So why are we doing it? I mean, do the realtors, for instance, recommend that it would be an easier sale to have appliances in there rather than let the person who buys it purchase
think
what the hell they want?
I think we had a conversation about this before. If I remember right, the last time we talked about it, and it may not have been A&D, but I think what we said was and I could be wrong, but I thought the way the conversation went was, this is probably gonna be purchased by, not a high income household. So they may not have the funds afterwards to be able to go out and buy appliances.
Well, that
Unless
just
they,
sounds crazy. You roll it into the mortgage. I mean, that's just,
well, can do that too. That is something we talked about.
okay, well, it just seems really, really, as I said,
Depends on,
like
it
throwing
depends
good
on the
money after
finance.
bad.
If
I'm
they're
sorry?
FHA fine, it depends on the financing and what the appraiser requires. If they'd have to have a working stove and refrigerator in there to pass. I'm not sure if they would allow credit, but usually if you're FHA financing, it would be required.
Really?
Or
Yes.
Sunny May would require it too. The
That's
program
with
that,
VA.
And I hear Heather saying she's agreeing with what's being said, so.
Okay. It just seems crazy to me.
Well,
The world is crazy, Jeanette.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I hear
So
you.
we talked, I mentioned a few options that we buy them ahead of time and maybe keep them stored somewhere cheap, like in a storage unit nobody knows about, only a few people, person has a key to.
You just keep
Yeah.
it here in the kitchen.
that's another option. Yeah, Heather said bring them to her house. No, kidding joke.
You can put them up here in the kitchen. too.
Tony,
Yeah,
did you look into like a spectrum or a security system or anything like that, like we had been
Mhm.
discussing?
I started Googling and I just got pulled off track.
So I started too, and actually I found a few interesting ones, but my son, who's on here, who works for us, he's actually the one that will find us the best one and one that nobody can get around. So we'll be working on that tonight, but we'll run it by you, of course.
Okay,
They'll be wireless, obviously battery operated. So I'll run a few by you. I started researching some.
thanks, Sherry.
Mhm.
And one of the other things we discussed when we walked around on Friday is that, once a building gets to a certain point, it might be a good thing for us to have permanent security installed so that, for instance, once we get to the point where things can be stolen, there's a security system that's operating, like ADT or I want to say Time Warner, but I know it's not them anymore, Spectrum.
Spectrum. Yep.
And then the buyer could always opt to drop the service. But if they want the service, it's already there. So it's just something we started talking about. I'm not sure how A&D feels about it, but after 11 Winnie, and also the woman who bought 822 River Street from us, she called me about a month ago and said that she's been broken into and tools, electrical supplies, equipment have been stolen out of there as well. So it's it's what happens. So let me keep moving down unless you guys have questions about 11.
We could just put a big big dog there.
That's what I've been saying. A big dog who hasn't eaten in 3 days will do the trick.
I'm not down for starving them, but
54 Fifth Avenue. Seed is coming down to the getting close to completing that. And it's looking really, really, really good as far as anything we've done before. So I think that's one that the land bank can be pretty proud of. It's not as good as 24 McClelland, but it's looking really, really nice. Which is why I'd really like to paint the facade. There are 2 piles of masonry debris that came out of the basement when they did all the fortification work. We're having trouble trying to figure out how to get that out of there because it's very tight. But George and I are working on it. So we may rent a small Bobcat and get it into a dumpster and just have it hauled away someplace. Or we may be able to find some place that will take clean fill, put it on the back of a dump truck and send it on its way. If it goes to a landfill, it's probably gonna be expensive because it's heavy. So. 3229 6th Avenue. Johnny Bobo is going to submit a change order request to put a gutter on along the back wall. So I'll probably be back with that. But on, I don't know what day it was, I think it was 2 Fridays ago, we droned all of our properties and all of our pending properties. And the tarp that's on 3229 6th Avenue is ripped. And I told Johnny Bobo, look, you got to get the roof done, or you got to put another tarp up. It can't stay like this. So he's going to take care of that. But otherwise, that's all that has to happen is sheathing on the roof and a roof covering, and it's done. And again, weather for roofing is coming to a close, so he needs to get that done for several reasons, sooner rather than later. 7 Park Avenue, we've made the decision to demolish the building. So we need to get funds to be able to do that, and we're investigating where those funds are going to come from. It looks like we're going to not have a problem finding those funds, but without going into details because I can't. 3209, 3211 7th Avenue, that is ours. It's been ours for about 2 months now. Carlos Oranto, who's the head of code enforcement, called me last week and said he thought he saw some stuff on the back wall that looked like it could fall. So that was one of the reasons I brought the drone guy down, because you can't get to the back of the building. You can now, but you couldn't at that point. And it didn't look like anything structural was going on there. It looked like there's some loose siding that needs to be, just tidied up. But Ryan Hemmendinger told me there has always been a pile of junk in the back of that building that was there before we bought it. And Carlo received a complaint from the property owner who owns 2 properties in the front. And I'd say the last name, but I don't want to create a controversy. But Carlo's asking for that stuff to be removed. So I'm going to need to get a price for that and see how it could be moved. The way Ryan described the stuff that's back there is that Joe Fama had a hauling company take a look at it, and they said there's so much stuff back there that they would have to do a chunk of it before they could really give a price to do the rest of it. So it's quite a bit of stuff.
Must be quite a mound.
Yeah, I haven't seen it because you can't get back there. The gangway was just a jungle when I was there on a very wet Tuesday morning. So I didn't even try, but I was able to come through a vacant lot, and I still couldn't get close enough to get, really good vision of what's there. Ryan
What's
has
the address again, Tony?
What's that?
What's the address of the?
3209, 3211. Ryan has cut back the gangway jungle. He also found some folks from community gardens threw some of the stuff on our side of the fence. Ryan threw it back over, which I asked him to do. So, kind of want to make a point.
This is 7th Avenue, right?
Yeah. So those are the issues going on with that right now. I will also add that when I went to take a look at the back wall, somebody took a crowbar and broke open the hasp to 3211 front door, which I looked up at one of the bays and it's like, okay, there's no double hung windows in the bay. So I asked Ryan to go, I had my screw gun with me, so I screwed the hasp back in place. And Ryan has gone in and tried to close in the bay so it doesn't collapse. So fun stuff all around. Updates on potential acquisitions. 36 Dow Street. I was finally able to get into the building. And what's going on there is kind of unusual. There is no roof in the back half of the building, except for the roof rafters. And the masonry all seems very, very stable, but all the framing where the roof is missing has totally imploded. And you can't get past, you literally can't get past the first couple steps of the, the stairs going up to the second floor. So we were looking at that as a building that might be part of a bundle, but Teresa and I have decided that it's just got too many question marks at this point. And it could really take the whole bundle and pull it down. So we're pulling it out of the bundle for now. We've got to do a little bit more research on that. Let's see, other city-owned buildings. I guess we need to get Kate to have title run and then close on the properties. I might ask the city if they could defer transferring ownership to us until we know how our grant application fares when it gets to homes and community renewal, because that would save us a lot of property maintenance costs. And did I mention 820 River Street? I did the last meeting. So we have a purchase option agreement with Vesta, which expired October 1st. Kate has been talking to their attorney about renewing it. And we believe we will have the funds to be able to purchase those properties. So Kate's really moving forward on that. And that involves 3 buildings and 1 vacant lot. The vacant lot is a key lot because it runs from River Street to 6th Avenue. And it also adjoins 3229 6th Avenue. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it doesn't. Very close to it. But it adjoins all our vacant lots on River Street, one of the other buildings we would be purchasing from Vesta. And Friday, I'm going to be in 820 River Street, which is owned by Vesta. That was not on our list of acquisitions from them, but it looks like it was originally built as 2 different buildings. If it was, and if we can get, for instance, one building to be 3 units and the other building to be 2 units, then it would be an outstanding fit for the Legacy City grant as part of a bundle. It really reduces the footprint. And when HCR sees how tight everything is and how it all works together, I think it'll be a pretty compelling application for that and a whole bunch of other reasons. That's what I've got for updates. You guys have any questions, comments, jokes?
I have a like semi-serious, not joke question. What if we just lie and put like camera signs on these properties?
If we do
Just
what?
Put camera signs on the properties, just lie and just act like they are there even though they're
Like
not.
property under surveillance, video surveillance.
Yeah, we can. That'll keep the people who are thinking about it out. In the case of 11 Winnie Avenue, I think there are people that know what's going on with that building, so word would get out. Yeah, they've got to take camera out or something like that.
Well, it's just us that know about it, so we could just go throw up like stickers.
I mean, we could also even get cameras that aren't plugged in for now without, anything, and just place them there. People won't necessarily know that they're not on.
they'll probably steal the cameras.
Yeah, they stole my security system.
Right.
Now, somebody has a key to the building because they got into the back door without breaking through it.
Oh.
Somebody opened the front door without breaking through it. So,
I'm not saying that it'll, get everybody to not do stupid stuff, but it might make people question it at least one time before they do. And obviously the one that we know, someone who is involved has a key, that's not going to do very much. But with the properties that are coming up, it couldn't hurt.
well, yeah, with the buildings coming up, it wouldn't hurt. I think a real security system would be a better way to go personally. I mean, it's
Agreed.
Indy's call, but a security system that really works and doesn't get stolen, which is kind of a sad joke.
That's hard to do though, unless we like go and we put the cameras like 30 feet up somewhere, which is not undoable on like the 2-floor units. We just put them on the outside.
Well, it sounds like you guys are, it sounds like you may have found a system that would work, so let's take a look and see what that will do and if it really will work. What I had at 11 when it was a motion detector on the first floor, motion detector on the second floor that communicated with a high decibel alarm and strobe light that was on the second floor front window. And I also had 3 little spy cameras. They stole one of the spy cameras. They took the motion detectors and the alarm. So
Did it notify you when it happened?
no, my thinking was if there's a strobe light going off and a loud decibel alarm, no one's going to stand around. They're going to leave. I was wrong.
Right.
So, I think a big hungry dog would do the trick better than anything else.
Or the Spectrum or ADT, as you say. I mean, it might be worth the worthwhile.
The
And,
investment.
and then as you say, Tony, if the homeowner decides it's not something they're comfortable with or really need, they can cancel the service. Just, can't keep renovating properties and losing the materials.
No, and I've lost count how many times this has been broken
Right,
into.
so it's just,
And then another concern with the winter months coming, if you have a furnace in there and it's not winterized and unless,
Yeah. Yeah, we have to have a working furnace and it has to be in,
people
Yeah.
need heat to work on them and it only takes a day or two, somebody's furnace, then I'm looking into some, I will figure something out and then I'll run it by you.
all right, thank you.
We get Tony, are you the person she would send the information or we would send the information to so that, because they're going to want someone from Troy Community Land Bank directly, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty much it. So any information you send to me, if I think the committee or the board is going to want to see it or needs to see it, then I'll definitely send it forward to them. But yeah, send it to me in the first instance.
All right.
So anyone got anything else? Okay.
No, it's nice meeting you all. I'm looking forward to working with you and, and attending just all the meetings that we can.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had a
so
good team.
do I
Colleen, do
hear,
you have any questions?
what's that?
I was just asking Colleen if she has any questions. Maybe she's
We
just,
lose-
No, I'm good, thank you.
okay, just make,
Just taking it all in.
Okay, would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Heather made the
I'll
motion.
second.
And
Bye,
Jeanette?
everybody.
Bye, guys.
Nice to meet everybody.
Bye.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Take care.
bye-bye.
Thank you.